I recently got dumped from a 2-year relationship, and though I'm starting to get over it, I'm starting to think more and more about her little boy, who I watched grow from a 2-year-old to a 4-year-old, and who I thought I would always be a parental figure in his life. Now I'm imagining him growing up and forgetting me, and it's like I'm breaking up all over again. I love him, and I'm grieving for the future that I thought I'd have with him. It hurts to think about all the times he'd sit on me watching TV or him reaching for my hand while walking. Men who have gone through this, how do you move past it? In case it's not clear, I'm not interested in hearing from you if you're using this as a means to push your outdated, bruised fruit ideology, and tell me that I should never love a woman with a child or someone else's child. If you think of love as some kind of zero-sum game, kids as competition for resources, and cannot see the value in loving someone totally despite the chance that you may not be in their lives forever, then you're simply not the kind of person that I'd ever take advice from, and the world is worse off for your selfish ideology. Also, you're not even answering the question that I've asked. So kindly keep it to yourself if that's all you have to say. Seriously, the only people I want to hear from are men who have been through something like this and have advice to give. I don't care about what you think about women with children. Thank you to everyone that is helping me with their answers from experience. It means a lot. I just woke up, and I just want to express the amount of gratitude that I have for all the loving and understanding answers that people have given me both here and in my direct messages. It's overwhelming, really, and it really is helping me process this and giving me solace and perspective. Thank you. I can't answer you all, but I am reading and rereading your responses, and I will continue into the future whenever I need a little help. What it has helped me understand is I shouldn't just be sad that it's over, but also happy that it happened, and also proud of myself for having made a positive impact on the kid's life. I do hope one day we can reconnect in some way, but if it doesn't, then at least I can find warmth in the knowledge that I gave him what he needed while I could, and that I may have left a positive mark on his upbringing. Most of all, I really do hope that he grows up to be a happy person. And for anyone who doesn't see the value in those things or has reached out just to make fun, who don't see love as the ultimate and most important and complete thing that we can do in life, but as simply a means to get what they want that should be jealously guarded even to the detriment of a child's well-being. I really do just feel bad for you, and I wish that you had better parental figures in your own lives. Story 1. Other perspective here. I was with my girlfriend for over 2 years before I ended things in March last year. She watched my kids grow from the youngest age of 1. She helped me with the potty training, learning to talk, tucking them in at night, and helping feed them. Now my youngest is 4. I hadn't spoken with her in almost a year's time, and it did not end well through text before we blocked each other. I bumped into her at the store 3 weeks ago while I had my kids. I saw her waiting in line, and I said hi. After she bought her stuff, she came over and asked if it was all right if she could see the kids, and I agreed. The kids were very happy to see her and gave her a huge hug. She was on the verge of crying the whole time. For a brief 10 minutes, it felt like we were a family again. We didn't talk about anything that was going on in our lives, how things were, or any of that. It was just us and the kids, and we were having fun goofing off in the store together like old times, joking around like nothing ever happened. She walked with us through the mall and we said our goodbyes. I know I will never be with her again, but I will never talk poorly about her to my kids or keep them away from her. She will always be part of their lives, and I hope when they get older, they will go visit her every now and then. She's a good person, and my kids deserve to be surrounded by her kindness and love. I wish you the best, my dude. Story 2. Time eventually moves you forward, and the pain you feel becomes a soft, emotional hope that the child grows up and becomes the best person you know they can be. You think of them separately from your former partner, and you will always wonder about them. It has been almost 10 years since I split from my former partner with 2 children. I think of them both fairly often, and I hope one day we meet again, even if they won't remember me. It warms my heart now instead of pains it. Story 3. This happened to me and a girl my dad was dating. Her name was Katie, and she gave me a bear that I, no joke, kept until I was moving into my second apartment. I wish my dad would have understood that Katie was someone good for me, and even if they couldn't have a relationship, I would have loved if she still picked me up and took me to see Disney movies. I don't know if that's an option. Have you tried discussing that with the ex? It's super important not to traumatize children at this age. And he probably misses you a lot and is already asking about you anyway. Maybe if you mention this to her, she'll be like, he'd really like that. Story 4. Oh my gosh, my friend. I'm not even going to lie to you. It's very hard to move on. My ex and I were together for 5 years. His son was 4 when I came into his life and 9 when we broke up. I got so attached to him and definitely considered him my son. I love that kid. I saw him grow up. I taught him how to swim, helped him with his homework, picked him up from school, had our special library trips, practically everything a parent does. He actually talked to me too, like he would tell me what was bothering him and what he was feeling, and I know for a fact that he wouldn't tell his actual parents even this. It made me so happy that he trusted me and loved me enough to talk to me. Towards the end of our relationship, I knew I wasn't happy and that I wanted out, but his son was such a huge reason why I couldn't leave. Eventually, when we broke up, my ex would text me and ask me to please come over because his son would keep asking for me. The 3 of us tried hanging out, going to the skate park, going to the movies, walking, anything so I could spend time with him, but this always gave his father some hope that we would get back together. When he realized that it just wasn't going to happen, at least not anytime soon, the texts stopped coming in. I was really hurt. It's been about 2 years since we've broken up, and I kid you not when I say I still think about my baby. I get so sad and depressed when I think of him because as much as I taught him, he definitely taught me a lot about myself too. I cried for months after we parted just thinking of him. It's so difficult to get over this, and I feel bad, but I really don't think I can even date anyone with kids anymore. I can't go through that pain again, I just can't. It's hard to get over your partner, but when a child is involved, it just makes things much harder. I really don't know how to get over it, but time really does help heal that pain. I just hope he's happy and being well taken care of, and that he knows that me leaving had nothing to do with him at all. He was the best thing in that relationship. I feel for you, man, I really, really do. I hope it gets easier. Story 5. I dated a guy with a baby for a year. His son was a little over a year when we met. Things moved quickly, and I ended up being the baby's primary caretaker when we had him 50-50. His dad played with him, but I fed him, gave him baths, read him stories, and loved him like I was going to be his bonus mom forever. The relationship is over. I literally wouldn't have survived his emotional abuse that was spiraling into physical. But I miss that little boy with my whole heart, and I understand the pain that you are in. I am sorry. I guess we just have to wait for time to heal these hurts. Story 6. My birth parents stepped out of my life when I was born. Until I was adopted at 4, I spent my time going from foster home to foster home. Not a lot of foster parents like taking care of a baby or toddler because they are more dependent than a kid or teen. Most of the time, I was either treated badly or only with the foster parents for a couple of weeks before being moved. But for a year, the last year I was in foster care, I was with a man named Jeb. I don't know his full name or even if that was his actual first name. He told me to call him Uncle Jeb. Uncle Jeb lived alone in a rural area of California where there were a lot of woods. I still remember most of the things he did with me, like making a cheese and cracker sandwich for snacks or teaching me old camp songs. I don't know why he didn't adopt me, but I'm guessing he couldn't afford a kid without the subsidies that come with foster care. I remember the day I was adopted, he cried for the first time since I had met him. My parents are amazing people who have given me so much love and opportunities and pushed me to be my greatest. Uncle Jeb still has a special place in my heart, though. It is difficult losing someone you love, especially when there is a chance of seeing them again, but as strangers this time. What you have to understand is that you were a parent to that boy when he needed one, and the fact that you love him so much that's what you miss from that relationship means you were probably a very good father. Take it from a kid who can still remember their Uncle Jeb. What you do has made an impact on him and will stick with him through life. Story 7. I went through the exact same thing last May with somebody I was sure I was going to marry and her 2 kids, who I became really close with, right before her youngest show that I promised I was going to be at. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. I remember there being 2 months when I couldn't get out of bed and used up all my sick days at work. The only answer I can give, as cliche as it sounds, is time. It's only going to hurt worse before it gets better. Hang in there, my friend. Story 8. I can't answer your question, nor can I relate, but I'm another grown male. and your post pulls at my heartstrings. Stay strong, my friend. It's not easy. Story 9. So my ex went through this. I'm the woman in the relationship. He entered the picture when my son was 8 months old, and we separated when my son was 8 years old. We still have communication to this day, and when there are holidays and school breaks, we always make sure that some of that time is spent with my ex and his family. It would be selfish of me to request and enforce any other way. My son bonded with him, and although his father is still in the picture, he still supports the time with my ex. We're actually all pretty good friends. You all need to put your selfishness aside and focus on the child. Broken families encompass our society. There really is no norm. We need to embrace that and leave our egos behind. Story 10. Not a man, obviously, but wanted to share this with you. Dated and lived with a man for 6 years. Knew his adult children and his grandchildren, one since they were 9 months old and the other from birth. Loved them so much. Boyfriend breaks up with me last year on Mother's Day. Fast forward, I was talking to a person about it and welled up thinking of never seeing those children again. Short answer. It hurts, it sucks, the pain lessens but may never go totally away. My takeaway had to be, I love them and I will always love them. That part that you gave to the boy will be a part of him forever. I believe that. Story 11. If you think of love as a zero-sum game, view kids as competition for resources, and cannot see the value in loving someone despite the chance that you may not be in their lives forever, then you're simply not the kind of person that I would ever take advice from. Wiser words have never been spoken. I fell in love with and subsequently married a woman with 2 young children. I got over my initial reservations when it became clear that she did not view relationships as zero-sum. Her kids were hers and they were mostly a joy to be around, and I kind of just got folded into their already rich lives. It worked out for us in the long run, but I have wondered about the hypothetical breakup many times. Here's what I can offer, for what it's worth. Children will only ever have one father, but they can and should have many dads over their lifetime. Even if I could not be their father, that didn't mean that I couldn't be their dad for some amount of time. Hopefully, they would emerge from their time with me with a better and richer understanding of the value of men and of masculinity, and I did what I could to make sure that would be true. Also, the larger lesson about the nature of love, the variety of ways in which love can be expressed, and what it means to be loved is something that cannot be ignored. If it's any consolation, you probably helped this kid move a bit in the right direction in that regard as well. It's sad that it's over, but that will always remain in some measure. So even if you don't get to continue to be this kid's dad from here on out, he will hopefully remember you in his own way. And with any luck, there will be another good guy who comes along and becomes this kid's dad and builds on the good times you had with this kid. You're going to have to grieve and move on because you really don't have any choice in the matter. Sucks, but there it is. We can only ever do the best we can in the time we have, never knowing just how much time that will be. Such is life. Story 12. I went through the same thing except it was 2 kids in 12 years. You have to face the reality that you are and were a significant person in their life, but you were never a parent. Story 13. I went through the same except the boy was younger. I fed him, changed him, played with him, taught him how to walk. I broke up with his mom 2 years ago, and just last night I saw something on another subreddit that broke me down and I bawled. Still hurts, but it gets easier. Story 14. I'm not a man and I was never in your situation, but I was a teacher's assistant for 2 years at a school and was suddenly let go. Couldn't even say goodbye to the kids. I care about them so much, and it pains me a lot to not be able to talk to them, help them out, and be there for them. What is getting me through is knowing I helped them. I valued them, I listened, I was there for them, and even if they forget me, I'm sure I was a positive role model and made their lives better as they made mine. I'm sure you made him better and he made you better, and you both learned a lot from this. People forget situations and details, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. Story 15. I don't have any advice, but I'm truly sorry for the pain that you are going through. I am sure it is very hard, but I hope you will heal over time. You are a good person and have a big heart. Also, do not listen to the awful advice of, do not love or date a woman with children. Hugs to you. Story 16. No answer or advice. As I'm a woman and have never been in a situation like this, I just wanted to say, I'm so sorry. You were a part of his life in his formative years, and even if he doesn't remember you exactly, he'll remember the happiness of those years. Children do. Sending love and hugs from an internet stranger. Story 17. My ex had 2 kids, ages 2 and 4. We were together for 2 years, so it was quite similar. For me, it was not a good breakup. There was a complete cutoff of all contact, but I was friends with the father of her children, and he had them on weekends, so I was lucky enough to still see them for a while. I saw them for a while before dialing it back to the point where they now know me pretty much the same as they do their dad's other friends. It has been this way for quite a few years now, and the breakup was about 10 years ago. The hardest part of that breakup was losing the bond one had developed with the kids. They never referred to me as dad, but respected me as a guardian. But I wasn't going to continue being a part of their lives, just as you probably won't with your ex and her son. For the kids' sake, don't make it more difficult. You can understand what has happened. They probably can't. They just know you're not around anymore, but they will move on from it. You will too. Story 18. I know you don't want to hear from a woman, but I would just like to share a story of my experience. I dated a man for 3 years, and my kids were about the same age as your ex's child. I never spoke badly about him, and my youngest, now 13, still sleeps with a stuffed animal he gave her one Christmas. I am married to another man now, but occasionally, my ex gets brought up by my children, and it's nothing but great memories. I remind them of the fun times in our lives he was a part of. They are older now and understand how relationships can end. It's a grieving process for everyone involved in the relationship. Take it one day at a time and remember all the great moments you shared with him, and he is probably doing the same. I think it's amazing that you bonded so much with someone else's child, and you seem like a great man. Good luck to you. Every day gets easier. Story 19. I'm sorry I don't have a good answer for you. I just wanted to say this breaks my heart, and I feel for you. I just got dumped a week ago after a long relationship and didn't even see it coming. Story 20. You don't. Although you may not always be able to be in their lives, not your choice, you will never get over them. They clearly made an impact on your life, and I'm sure you made some impact on theirs in those 2 years. When I got divorced, I remarried and I became a step-parent. Not a big fan of that word, to 2 incredible kids. My daughter was 1 and my son was 4 when I met them. I was the dad they knew, and I was the dad who raised them. After 10 years, we divorced, but I was lucky, and she allowed the kids to continue to be a part of my life. Today, the kids are still a part of my life. My daughter is 17, and my son is 22. To me, those kids are mine. I love them just as much as my own 2 boys from my first wife. I have 3 great sons and 1 beautiful daughter.